Hello readers, I'm Amy, and today I'm going to be talking about some fast-paced books. Some of you will want to get a start on your Goodreads goal or other reading goal for the year, and maybe you'll want to get ahead on things while the year is young and do something a little more fast-paced. So these are largely like thriller horror recommendations. They're what I have on my shelves. They're fast-paced books that I enjoy, and horror and thriller, maybe not so much horror, but thriller tends to be more fast-paced as a genre in general, or at least the ones that I enjoy tend to be a little faster-paced. So let's go ahead with the recommendations. First one I would like to recommend, I don't actually own, would love to own, should probably scooch to the side here so I have room to put on the screen, No Exit by Taylor Adams. This is my absolute favorite thriller. I haven't reread it since my first read through. I don't tend to reread thrillers as much since I already know how it ends and everything. But this takes place over the winter at a gas station. You have a woman who's trying to get cell service while she's outside, and as she's headed back into the gas station, she glances at the back of a car and she sees something in the back of that car. And then the mystery goes forward from there, and it's you just fly through it. I think I read that book in a couple of hours, and that was even reading it on my Kindle, which my Kindle I definitely tend to be slower with. I don't know if it's the screen reading or what, but that is such a popular thriller here on BookTube, and there is a reason for that. So if you're at all into thrillers and you haven't picked this up, please do. I can pretty much guarantee you're gonna love it. Next book is not for everyone, and that is Tender is the Flesh. I have talked about this a lot on my channel lately. I initially saw this being read by Victoria from What Victoria Read. It sounded amazing, so I had to pick up a copy. And it was heavy, and it was fast. It hits you hard, and you can't put it down until you're done with it. Huge trigger warning for so much stuff. Mainly cannibalism. The way that they talk about the cannibalism is really just, if you're sensitive to that kind of stuff, this is not the book for you. Like, they talk about cows, or they talk about humans the way that you would talk about a cow in, like, milk production and stuff. And so just be aware of that. It's a heavy read, but this is a kind of horror dystopia. I put it on my horror shelf because I think that's a heavier element to it, or a larger element to it than so much the dystopia part. But animals have this like virus or disease that is deadly to humans, so humans start eating each other instead of eating animals because they want to consume meat. And I think this book is a great commentary on meat as an industry, on race, on sex. Just, this author has a lot to say, and I think this is actually Augustina Bazterrica's only translated book, because I think she wrote one or two others. This has been getting a lot of hype on BookTube recently, but it turns out it actually came out in 2017, and the reason it's popular now is because in 2020, the English edition was released. So that taught me a lot about translated editions, and we should definitely work on getting more translated works out there. I would love to read her other work. But not only do I suck at languages, I just don't take the time to learn them like I probably should. I don't speak Spanish, so I can't read her other book right now. But Spanish is one of my long-term goals. Maybe someday I'll be able to read a book in Spanish. And like I said, I would love to read more of her work. Next up, haven't talked about this one in a bit. This is Fierce Kingdom by Jen Phillips. I love this book. However, there are a lot of comments on this book, particularly on places like Goodreads, that say if you're not a mother, you're not going to enjoy this, which, false. You don't have to share someone's lifestyle to empathize with their lifestyle. But this is one of the closest books I've come to reading in one sitting. I think I read it in 2 sittings over the course of like 3 hours. And you have a woman who's with her child, I believe he's like 5 to 7-ish, and they're just spending the day at the zoo, and they're on their way to the entrance of the zoo to get out when something happens at the entrance that forces them back in, and it becomes a fight for survival. And it is so fast-paced, and she's trying to be a good mom and she's trying to be protective while also being aware that her son could very easily kind of give away their location, could put them in danger just by being, because he is a child. And I loved this. So thrilling. It was so good. I kind of knew what was gonna happen at the entrance. It seemed like the direction which the book would probably go, but I loved it anyways. Would highly recommend this if you're looking for something that's a really quick read. I haven't checked out her other books yet, but I definitely want to after reading this. Next fast-paced book is Rosemarys Baby by Ira Levin. I love Ira Levin. I have several of his books. I want to read as many of his works as I can. I've read Stepford Wives, Rosemary's Baby, and A Kiss Before Dying. I also have The Boys from Brazil sitting on my shelves right now. Is it The Boys from Brazil? Yeah, The Boys from Brazil. It's about, I think they're talking about like the Fourth Reich or something. I think it's sort of a dystopia. Anyways, Rosemary's Baby. You have this woman who just moved into an apartment with her husband, and they're just kind of living their lives. She gets pregnant, and their neighbors start acting weird. I mean, their neighbors were always acting weird, but they seem to be acting especially weird. And could be that her neighbors are part of a satanic cult and that she is having the baby of the devil. Who knows? You gotta read to find out. But I love the cult focus of this novel, and it's not overly detailed, which I think is one of the reasons it speeds through so fast. Like, you're going from one day to the next, to the next, to the next. Whereas with some slower burn books, it really more like takes its time with giving you the creepy details. So Stepford Wives, I think, has a little more detail to it that makes you kind of feel the creepiness of it. This one's just speeding through as time is passing and you're like, what is going on here? So, love me some Ira Levin. Last book, I'm actually going to do a nonfiction. I haven't reread this in a bit, but Smoke Gets in Your Eyes by Caitlin Doughty. This is one of my top favorite nonfiction books ever. And the reason I put it on here for fast-paced, for one thing, nonfiction is not typically a very fast-paced genre, since you are getting a lot of details or science or background or what have you in a lot of nonfictions, or if it's a memoir, it's really walking you through the experience. This is Other Lessons from the Crematory, and what really gets me through this is her humor. Caitlin Doughty's humor is spot on in this memoir, and it's kind of like a memoir essay collection about whenever she was working in a crematory, and her humor just really speeds you through it. Like, you're looking at these situations that she got in as a crematory operator, and how she made it humorous and the things that she learned. And another fast-paced thing about it is when you finish an essay, first thing you want to do is read the next one. Like, you want to see what all's going to happen to her throughout this book and what all memories she has from being a crematory operator. You learn things, you laugh, and you get through it quickly. So that was it for my fast-paced reads. If you want something to kind of give you a jump start on the new year, highly recommend any of these. Yeah, they're a little more like horror-oriented, but that is it from me. Please like, subscribe, be my friend on social media. Love having more friends. I will see all of you in my next video. Bye, friends.